What is it about NASCAR that keeps you involved in it?
It's the most favorite thing that I do. I know so many people in the sport that when I go inside the garage and they close those gates behind you, I feel like I'm with a family. And I'm involved in so many other businesses that everybody have a knife in one hand, a gun in the other one.
It's such a tight group. I mean, you know how tight a group the racing community is and how they all look after each other. No matter what, it's like he came from Cuba and he had a business and top sales and he run his business. But when he came to motorsports, when he came to NASCAR, he found the people that he had been looking for.
How did you get involved in NASCAR?
I had a friend of mine, you remember him, Ted Condor.
Yes, yes.
Well, the reason the original company was called Sapco, it was Sabates Condor. Teddy wanted to be in the car business, in the race business, and he came to me and he said, hey, let's go racing. I said, how much is it going to cost? And he said, oh, $50,000 to $100,000. I said, let's do it.
His car owner is Felix Sabates. He is coincidentally the co-owner of the new NBA basketball franchise in Charlotte, North Carolina, with Rick Hendry.
Describe your role now with Chip Ganassi.
We've been together now almost 12 years. We have never had but one argument. That's about a bottle of wine, who we're going to pay for. That's pretty remarkable because Chip is a very strong-willed person, and so am I. And for us to have been together 12 years, never had an argument. But I was involved with the sponsorship side. I brought in Lone Star Steakhouse. I brought in Wrigley. I helped with a lot of the other associate sponsors. My main job now is kind of to entertain the sponsors and be a cheerleader. The racetrack, that's what I do.
Kurt Busch said, when I was in trouble and without a job, he said one of the first phone calls I got was from Felix Sabates.
Well, I read all this stuff in the newspaper. Everybody deserves a second chance in life. And I called him up and I said, what can I do to help you? And he said, I don't have a ride. And he said, I want to drive the Finch car, but Hendricks won't let Finch put me in the car. And I said, I don't believe that's true, because Rick wouldn't care one way or the other. So I called Rick at 11 o'clock that night. I said, Rick, do you have a problem with Busch driving Finch's car? He said, no, as long as they pay me. Talk to Finch to put a deal together. I was just trying to help somebody that needed help.
Describe your relationship with Kyle Petty. And the reason I ask that is because he told me something a year or so ago. He said, I never told my children I loved them enough until I met Felix Sabates. Well,
when Kyle came to drive for me, his dad came in the trailer and he says, I want you to race him. When you do, I'm going to take him back.
So Richard asked you to raise Kyle.
Yeah, so actually, but Kyle and I had a relationship was like a father and son and best of friends. To this day, we still are. And, in my family, we always say, I love you. And Kyle would hear me say that to them. That's just me, and Kyle just picked that up from me.
Adam was probably 8 or 9 years old. Austin was 7. Montgomery Lee was 2 or 3 years old. So I had young kids. And I had never heard somebody tell their kids they loved them like Felix always told his kids. The king could come in and win a race, and my grandfather would want to know why he didn't win it by 2 laps. You know what I mean? It wasn't congratulations you won, it's why didn't you do better than what you did? And the king was that way. He had a big impact on me and on my career, but he had more of an impact on me personally.
Talk about leaving Cuba in 1960 and what you came to this country with, because as I remember it, it's not a whole lot.
Well, I came by myself. I was 15 years old, and my parents put me on an airplane and sent me to the United States alone. I had 2 boxes of cigars and $25. And it was tough at first. I mean, I went from washing dishes and to being an orderly to selling cars, and it's a big circle. I started selling cars in '64. Now I own a bunch of car dealerships. So it's going like this. But this is the greatest country in the world. This is my home.